One of the challenges that still confronts the transformation of Lagos into a model megacity is the existence of slums and blighted areas in different parts of the state. The slums being settlements that lack basic services such as water and sanitation, education, primary health care, roads, drainage, markets and community recreation facilities, among others. To address this challenge, the Lagos State Urban Renewal Authority Lasura was established in 1991 as Lagos State Urban Renewal Board. It was restructured in 2005 to Lagos State Urban Renewal Authority Lasura, a name retained through the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law 2010. Lasura's responsibility includes monitoring and identifying areas qualified for upgrading and advising the state government on redevelopment or renewal programs accordingly, preparing and implementing approved state urban upgrading and urban redevelopment projects, holding, administering, maintaining government-acquired properties within redevelopment or renewal project areas, and increasing access to basic urban services through improvements in critical infrastructure, among other responsibilities. On our program, State Unfocused tonight, we beam the searchlight on this agency and its plan to transform the slums or blighted areas in different parts of the state.
As the agency responsible for upgrading of slums and blighted areas, how many slums and blighted areas would you say that we have in Lagos State?
We have already identified about 100 slums within the whole state. And this has grown from, I believe, 1995 from like 47 or so to like 100 now. So you can see the result is still part of what I was saying earlier, that we need to create an urban growth boundary to stop continual, or what I would call the sprawl development, which has no control.
How does this slums and blighted areas impact on the goal of Lagos State government
to make this
state a model mega city?
If you want to build a mega city, you want to build a community that is attractive to attract international businesses, so that people bring in money to create jobs. And there are certain standards you have to meet in order to attract this kind of investment in a mega city. When you allow slum to grow, it's not going to help you to grow to become a mega city, because associated with slums are crimes. Security is a major factor, and most people will not want to take their money to where they know they are not going to be safe. To become a mega city also, you need to be able to do a very, very good land use planning, both at the federal, state, and local level. And the way planning activities is being handled currently here needs a little bit more improvement, because I think planning become more effective at the local level, where you can have a hands-on control of so many things that you really want to control. And that is where the idea of citizen participation also comes in, because you have to make people realize that this is their community. And when they participate in the planning process, it makes them feel good. And the community gets improved. And if you look at most the 500 Fortune businesses, for example, they like to go to places where they can be able to predict that they will get a return on their investment also. So if we are able to upgrade all our communities and provide all the necessary incentive for people to be able to live decently, I think most foreigners will feel comfortable to come and invest in our community.
To kind of add or kind of give a proper insight to what you just said as tax increase, incremental financing. Are we going to tax the properties? Are we going to tax the private sectors? Are we going to ask the people to pay more taxes? What exactly is this concept all about?
We are not adding any new tax. We are not taxing people. Tax increment simply means you increase the value of the property tax of an area, say low income or slum area. Say, for example, if the state government has been collecting about 5 million in this area on the property tax as a result of the value of those properties. If Lasura comes in, we will redevelop the area, then the property tax value goes up. Now remember, the state is only collecting 5 million currently. If the tax goes up to like 15 million, the increment from 5 million to 15 million now comes to Lasura for continuous redevelopment. So we are not hurting anybody. We are not taking more money. We're just taking the value and reinvesting it back into the community. I think it's an excellent concept for redevelopment.
Let's look at development of slums generally, sir. When the agency moves in, a particular slum to develop, what fate has the people who are living in those particular areas? Where do you move them to for you to do an effective redevelopment of that particular slum?
When the agency is ready to move into any slum area, the first thing we do is do what we call community needs assessment. We will determine the number of people that will be relocated. We will plan where they can be relocated, not just the agency taking this position itself. It will be like in a workshop with the people in the community or the residents, because they have to understand what the program is all about. At the conclusion of what will satisfy this resident, we will take the necessary action to give them a temporary location while the slum is being upgraded. The most important thing in slum upgrading is to let the people know that this is something that will transform their life to a better one from what they used to be. And as long as they are happy about it, they will be compensated for the temporary inconvenience that they have to go through. And if the agency needs to acquire some of the property, the owner of those property will be duly compensated based on the appraised value of their property. We learn as we go, and we will take some of our cultural elements into consideration also, because we have chiefs and clansmen who always try to make sure that the welfare of their people is well taken care of, which is also always the goal of the state also. And just always remember that the purpose of any redevelopment is to improve the quality of life for those people who are residents of that community.
For an average Lagosian, when government wants to undertake a project, the first consideration is that what is in there for me? For the benefit of the viewers, what exactly does community empowerment mean?
Let's go back to the concept of capitalism. Okay, it's the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. It is the people that has the power. That is the purpose of introducing the concept of citizen participation. We are empowering the people by providing economic incentive to their community so they can have job, improve their life, and be happy that this is their government at work. The government is not empowering himself because the government is the people. You know? So when the people have a better quality of life than what they used to live, that's part of empowering. Empowering them also includes allowing them to participate and make decisions on everything that affects their life, because it's their life. The government comes in, improve what needs to be improved in their community, but the people has to live there, so it's for them. That's a sort of empowering, because they determine what needs to come to their community. We just help them to achieve those needs or to fulfill those needs. That's very powerful. It's them, not us. After all, where does Lasura get his money from? From the taxes paid by the people. And it's the money that is coming back to their community to improve the quality of life, not only for them, for their children. Because when we upgrade the community, there are so many amenities that we put there. We put schools, we put health center, library, open space, or park, recreation, which is very important for them. So it's the people that is getting their power to better their own life. We are just servants of the people to implement all those things.
All right. Now let's also take this angle of this development. We've been talking about funding and financing urban renewal programs. Of course, in the course of our discussion, we've mentioned government allocation. We've mentioned international agencies coming into partner with the state. We've also brought in the idea of incremental tax, property tax, and all that. Has that been, or is there any other means by which Lasura can raise funds for this project? Are you even considering engaging private sector or partnering private sector, for these your activities?
One of the easiest way to bring in private sector in is to create an incentives through our planning process. Okay. In a way, you cannot separate Lasura from the physical planning department, because as we plan, we use planning as a strategy to stimulate private investment in our various communities. And one of the tools we use is land use and zoning. When we create a community plan, or what I call land use or master land use for an area, we look at first of all, in the planning process, let me walk you back a little bit. In the planning process, when we want to plan, we go to the community and conduct various workshops to tell the people that, or to give us an initiative of what they really like to see in their community. So from there, we develop a preliminary plan to show it to them. And of course, as a professional, we also add our own input in terms of what we think will be better for them in terms of economic growth. And of course, urban design and aesthetics to make their community better. So during the process, we allow people to see how their community will grow. So that's why we always have a plan that is for 10, 15, or 20 years to accommodate growth. So in that land use, we will create what we call possible growth pattern and possible land use that will induce economic growth. So that when anybody look at our plan, you can decide and say, this is where I would like to invest my money because of possibility for the future, you know. This is one of the things I like to emphasize on and work with physical planning so we can be able to attract foreign investors to come to Lagos more. So it is through this media that we stimulate economic growth. Land use map tells you a lot of things when you look at it. Although you might look at them and say that they are color codes, which means certain things. And once you understand how to read those maps, you'll be able to say that there's possibility for this place to grow. And one of the areas we always do is zoning is one of the tools that we use to implement planning. When we use a land use designation, we will designate certain zoning or zone designation that will tell you what you can do or which can limit what you can do in that community. So once you look at it, you'll be able to tell that, okay, I want to build some multiple residential in this area, or I can build an office complex or mixed use or mixed income. Mixed use and mixed income is a new concept that I think we should be embracing now in order to eliminate slum anyway, and at the same time to stimulate economic growth for people to be able to invest their money on what the plan tells them they can do.
Of course, in the course of our discussion, we've mentioned stakeholders, people who are in these communities, you know, their feelings, what is their disposition to various urban renewal and urban, slum upgrading programs. And I'm quite sure that since you came into this office, you've been interacting with some of them. The question is, how responsive have they been?
Well, some of the people I spoke to seems to be very enthused about my concept, and I know it's going to take some time to get the process through, but it's going to be done. And even just working from Lasura, we can do so many things. One of the way I'm looking to raise fund also, if the state will allow me to do, is to be able to sell bond. If we are able to generate money through bond, we can also put it back into the community to stimulate growth in various areas. And I know a lot of private sectors are eager to invest money. As you know, Lagos right now, we have a shortage of housing compared to any other city in the world. There are still many needs for housing. This is a sector that I know a lot of investors will want to put their money, because real estate in anywhere in the world you can think is one of the places where everybody put their money. You see doctors, engineers, everybody wants to invest in real estate, because it's one of the things that we as human beings, we need. There's no way we can survive without housing. Okay. Next to food is shelter. So everybody needs a decent amount of place to live. And that's why I think private investors are eager to see if things, start changing little by little, whereby we start redeveloping our community to be more accommodative and more decent, and at the same time give us the level of sustainability that we need to bring Lagos to the next level and make it livable for our generations to come.
Aside from finances, and of course, perhaps the stakeholders who might not be receptive, what other challenges do you face in this assignment?
Well, one of the things I currently feel that I'm going to be facing is convincing people to have more faith in their government. And I think the only way we can do that is by convincing them through an example. If we are able to do, say for example, a Salegogon project. This was done before my time, before I came in, and we just completed phase 1 of that project. To my understanding, people are calling on Lasura to come to their community now and replicate the same thing, because they saw it was a good project. It's, some of these people don't have enough money to build their property to that level, and even if they do, some of those property are too small to be able to achieve the level of development that was achieved when they combine all those lots together. Now they are able to achieve something they wouldn't have been able to achieve. The rent they will collect from their property currently is way higher than what they used to collect. And it's extremely important to understand that people will have faith in us if we give them a good example. And I think that's what they really need. We really need to do in order to strengthen our image and trust from the people.
In how many slums are you currently working? And what should Lagosians, especially those living in these slums where you are currently working, be expecting to see, say, in the next 5-10 years?
Well, currently, we are working on 2 slums right now, and that's the Bariga and the Ifelodu community area. In the next 5 years, I believe these people would see a transform of their community from the slum to a more livable and more sustainable community where all the necessary urban services will be provided for them to live better. And we will replicate this example in other communities that are necessary to or will be applicable to take those kind of development.